Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benny. Sills.
Hello and welcome to this latest episode of the Gull'S Eye View. It's been quite the 24 hours for Torquay United. Myself, Clive and Tommy put this podcast together sort of last minute to talk about everything that's happened, represent everyone's sort of points of view, and also just a genuine call for accountability and unity on all forms. So that we know things have happened. We're going to try our best to represent everything. The main bit on the pitch, the debacle that happened at Eastbourne yesterday as we record this. And also stuff's happened afterwards. We've got a Kelly's Corner. But right now, more than ever, it's been fantastic to have everyone's opinions, and we're going to do our best to represent all of them as well as our own. Now, before I go into this episode, I will say we have to, when we're recording this, it's on the 2-year anniversary of the club going into administration. Now, we know exactly how bad things were then, and we know exactly how grateful we are to where things are now. However, we've also got to remember this is now a football club that needs promotion. That's the whole point of having a football club. We want to see our club win. So you can have an opinion, as a lot of us have, about how the poor performance which is going on the pitch, and also be grateful towards what's been happening with stuff like Brinkstall and everything like that. And we're all on there too. However, we're going to delve a lot into a lot of things this episode. I'm going to hand it over to Clive first, who's going to speak a little bit before we go into things about some good news and also about the Tust as well. Take away, Clive.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So I'll just speak quickly about what the Supporters Trust are up to at the minute. In response to a request from the club, we've agreed that we're going to try and raise £100,000 a year to pump in. Every penny is necessary at the minute, as we know. There are no costs are going down, and we're all united to try and get this club back to where it needs to be. And so if you haven't seen it already, keep an eye out for trust members. You should have received an email with a survey where we set out various options to help raise the money. And please give us all your feedback on that, because this is going to be led by you, really. We're not going to make decisions contrary to the members' views, and we need to know what they are. So do please answer the survey. If you're not a trust member, I'd say two things to you. Firstly, you're very, very welcome to complete the survey. And part of it does include questions about what your view is of the Supporters Trust. And the second thing is, why don't you join what about 10 people have done over the last few days and join us? Join the Supporters Trust, because it means you're a part of the football club. At the minute, we've got just over 1,100 members, which, when you compare that to a home gate of 3,500, is a phenomenal amount. But every person that comes in and every subscription that is paid will go towards helping the football club that we all love. And before we get into the nitty-gritty of this episode, it's important to share success and to celebrate it, isn't it? So on that note, congratulations again to Torquay United women this afternoon. They've gone to Gloucester. They picked up another 3 points. It was hard fought, I think. They conceded very early, but it seems to have been the Connie Pengelly show after that. She's notched a hat-trick to put us 3-1 up after about an hour or so. Gloucester did get a goal back, but we hung on. And although I only watched the injury time, and by the way, fair play to Gloucester, because they put it on YouTube channel. So I would assume it's still there for you to watch if you want to tonight. I thought they held on comfortably, and it's another good 3 points, hopefully on the way to winning some silverware this season. So that's the good bit, and I guess we now move on to talk about Eastbourne.
Yes, fantastic, Clive. As always, in the description, the Tust link up is in the description. But also, if it's worked on the editor, you'll see a QR code on the screen at some point during Clive's fantastic speech there, which will take you to the survey, or at least the website. So fantastic. Well done to everyone there. I know, of course, Joe Joe Uggs has sorted a lot of that stuff out. He's done a lot of hard work, which led to the article as well on the club's website. Now, we've got to talk about, let's just start about the football. For Christmas, I was given a present of some mint calming football capsules, right? I've had to take 6 of them, like tonight. So another 6 their weekends. They are mint, but I genuinely believe I'm going to have my stomach pumped, and it's all because of Torquay United and possibly a bit of Leicester City as well. But we're going to talk about let's be honest, jokes aside, pathetic, pathetic, pathetic 4-2 defeat at Eastbourne. Tommy and Clive were there. I thankfully was not. But yeah, you two, of course, being a travelling fan, I always will, you get more of the right, definitely, to talk about it. Tommy, go on. What was it like? Talk us through at least the first part of the game.
Well, I suppose only the loyals go to Eastbourne away, don't they, Swanee?
They do. They do.
So
Not
for
like
me, So for me, anyone watching on YouTube when this recording comes out will notice that I'm not in my normal setup this week. I've decided amongst some friends of mine we're spending the weekend and part of next week in Worthing as part of a Sussex double header. So so getting to the ground, easy enough. Change at Brighton, down to Eastbourne, plenty of time. Quick taxi ride to the stadium. Couple of beers in there. Great colours. Yeah, it's better than some of the grounds at this level, I suppose. Look, I've already been on a podcast today, so the Down the Lane podcast, really good bunch of Eastbourne Borough fans who, taking inspiration from us, I think, and good lads. So please do give them a watch. I've already shared my views already on there by the time this video comes out. But they've got.
I hope they don't take inspiration from us. Christ, they might be able to get higher than bronze.
I know they called us professionals last week. I was like, have you watched any of our episodes? We're certainly not professionals. We've won an award, but we're certainly not professionals. No, had a couple of drinks. Had a couple of drinks in the clubhouse, and a very good, non-league setup they've got at Eastbourne, and it had just all the dangers, didn't it? From the beginning of the week, getting rid of their manager, and they had the freedom, didn't they? There was no pressure on Eastbourne, and it didn't look like we were facing a team that were in, relegation crisis. I mean, my goodness me. Once again, Torquay United, despite an overnight stay, have started slow. We've conceded within the first 5 minutes. I mean, the goal we conceded, pathetic. Jordan Thomas loses his man. The ball goes into the box, and Nash and someone else I can't recall from the highlights couldn't get the ball away, and it's into the back of the net at 1-0. And yeah, I mean, United, when we were on the ball, were okay, but we just looked second best throughout. And to be honest, Eastbourne fully deserved the win, in my opinion. They played the conditions better. There was a howling wind down where I was stood, just to the side of the goal, down the far end. So in the first half, we were against the wind. Second half, we had it. But Eastbourne played the conditions brilliantly. And, despite Sonny Blue's best efforts, I mean, he gets the equaliser. He was the only player on that pitch from a Torquay perspective that I think gets any more than 5. I'd probably give him 7, 8 out of 10. I thought he was absolutely fantastic for us. But we just looked second best throughout. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Since we've got Paul Watton got manager of the month, we've just looked really, really off it in recent weeks. I mean, you cannot go, Chippenham, I forgive, because you get that. You do get games like that where you've had the bulk of the play, you've missed a lot of chances, and you get caught towards the end. Fair enough. But you can't go again to a side in absolute crisis mode. I mean, Eastbourne are in crisis mode. They lost their goalkeeper, lost their manager. It's just Eastbourne fans were rightly thinking we're going to get another 6-7-0 spanking. And, just to go there and think typical Torquay, this is just the game we're going to lose. But we can't be typical Torquay if we want to get out of the National League South, lads. We just can't. And, when the team came out, I was trying to make heads and tails of the formation. I was amazed that Morgan wasn't starting. I was amazed that Cody Cook wasn't starting. I mean, what's that all about? Surely Cody's fit by now. And that's another game you want him out on the pitch for, in my opinion. And just to go in level at half time, I thought was a relief, because Eastbourne missed some great chances in the first half. We had our moments, but we didn't look clinical enough once again. And that's been a common theme in the last few weeks. We're just not clinical in front of goal. And to be honest, second half, we've got the win with our backs. I was expecting a lot more from us. And we were just absolutely pathetic. And the goals we've conceded in the second half, Clive can go into that in a second, but they're all from individual errors. And it's just frustrating that it's happening on a common basis. I think the only thing that won in the top seven were Worthing. So we've wasted another opportunity where we could have closed the gap, A, to Dorking, and B, pulled a gap amongst those behind us. And now we're going into Tuesday night. I mean, I'm fearing the worst Tuesday night, quite honestly. And I don't know what's going on, but there's just the mood around the camp at the moment, quite honestly, something's not right. And despite the fact we're second at the table, and those who aren't fans of Torquay must be thinking, what the hell are we moaning about? But the squad we've got and the ambitions we've got, I mean, it's just pathetic how we just collapsed in that second half.
Fantastic sum that, Tommy. Clive, do you want to go into more detail about the game?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Tom, really. In a way, you feel as though we'd done the hard work by our time, because it must have been nearly a gale force wind, I think, and into the rain as well. It was really unpleasant to play in. It must have been horrible. We rode our luck a little bit, but when we got the ball down and played going forward, we looked half decent. It was a lovely goal by Sonny Blue. And the keeper made a decent save to thwart him from getting a second as well. So half time, for goodness sake, you're playing against a team who's bottom of the league, a team that we put 7 past earlier in the season, a team that sacked their manager in the week. And I think they've lost some players this week as well, because I think their board are having to retrench a little bit. They've chucked a lot of money at it, and it's blown up spectacularly in their faces. So if ever a team should have been there for the taking, was Eastbourne Borough. You can't, managers will always say you can't legislate for individual errors, and I get that. Obviously, there's the Horsham game earlier in the season in there where there's a not very good back pass, and then Hammy just kicks across the ball and they get a tap in. I'm not going to slaughter a young pro here, particularly a pro that's actually being paid for by the Supporters Trust. But dear Ed James, I mean, you really had to feel for him, didn't you? The second goal was a really poor error. Gives the ball away on the halfway line, and we're wide open. The guy waltzes right.
Takes out Dreyer as well in the same move.
Yeah. There's a goal from years ago in probably the 1986 World Cup where 2 Scottish centre halves collide with each other, and the USSR run in and score the easiest goal ever, and it had those sort of vibes about it. I wish I'd stayed in the toilet, to be honest. I just managed to get out from having a wee quick enough to see it. Then sort of walk back behind the goal again, and it's only 2-1, isn't it? There's still a possibility if we start playing some football, we can still get something out of the game. But
we collapsed. We absolutely collapsed. We collapsed.
It just wasn't there. Ed James got out-muscled, unfortunately, for the next goal. So 3-1, that's a proper mountain to climb then, isn't it? Sonny Blue clearly sussed the conditions, and he was trying to get the ball under the crossbar within swinging corners, and one of them, their keeper, just palmed it in. So that's 3-2. And even then you thought, well, maybe we can scratch a point, and it would have been a bad result. But what happens next? Completely unforced error by the keeper again.
Shambolic.
We do love you, Hammy. I really enjoyed your interview this week, by the way, on a rival channel. I thought it was fantastic to get an insight about your journey through the game. But it was a dreadful error, wasn't it? He passes the ball to a forward on the edge of the penalty area, and it's 4-2. And there's just no excuse for it. I'm sorry. It's a mini run. I fully accept that we're only talking about 3 games. But we've now lost to bottom of the league. We've drawn with a pretty average Maidenhead team, and admittedly unlucky with a refereeing decision, but we didn't do enough to win the game. And then yesterday was a shambles. I mean, it was Bishop's Cleeve levels of shitness. If you pardon the expression, that was an absolute disgrace yesterday. And there needs to be, as you said, Swanee, there needs to be some accountability for that.
Well, yeah, love you summing up both of you. I'm fed up of hearing the same sort of things and the same sort of things. Accountability, I never hear it. That's how you grow. When you go, right, okay, we've messed up. Right, okay, sorry lads, if a player's in it, sorry lads, I messed up, whatever, stuff like that. That's how you fix things and go forwards. When you're constantly used to blaming things and looking elsewhere, you create these sort of situations, you create these sort of frustrations. Now, I like to, as part of our sort of role, we all do this in our free time. I like to, gauge the other fans' opinions. It doesn't mean I have to agree with everyone, I never will. But I gauge their opinions, and there's such a level of displeasure against the management. I'm fed up of seeing the same things. You don't get off your seat watching this Torquay team. I said it in the group chat yesterday. I said, I haven't bonded with this squad all season. A lot of it is a squad from last season. I just don't get up and get excited to go and watch it. And it's, yeah, you can say, oh, well, because you're in National League South, all stuff like that. But like, no, it's not that. Because it's just, you're not on the edge of your seat enough. I summed it up. Okay, so I'm not going to diverge to Leicester because that is a disaster at the moment. They've got a different manager in, okay? They're in crisis. But that second half, we changed. They went direct and they looked like they're going to score on most attacks. I was on the edge of my seat. That is the best part of football. When you're watching your team, you think, God, we might score here. We look like we're going to score here. Doesn't mean you're going to win the game, but I walked away, even though we had to win that game, quite happy because I felt a bit of excitement. With this Torquay team, I don't see it. It's too strategic. There's not enough freedom. There's not enough things going on. And that is why I believe people have got frustrated on top of the poor results and things that's gone on through the season off the pitch that we're all aware of. And I'm just fed up with it. But I'm not just blaming Watson with this either. There has to be accountability on the pitch. And I just, if I was Paul Watson right now, whatever you think about him, all stuff like that with people watching, I would feel extremely let down by my players, to be honest with you, and certain players as well. Of course, you look at some unbelievable individual numbers this season. Jordan Young, Louis Dennis, Sonny Blue Everton. There's been some great performances at the back here and there as well. But it's not good enough at all. And I'm sick of it all season as well. You can look at it and go, yeah, well, we're 6 points. Say, if, for example, a rival team, as you said earlier, Tom, 6 points off the top. How can you be saying all this, what and that, what and out? But if you look at it, the reason we're so disappointed, this club needs to be performing above this. This club has aims to get to the Football League, and in my opinion, I haven't got a numbers sheet, but it doesn't take Einstein to look at the players we've got and think, well, they must be on quite a decent amount. And I'm not, saying that brings performances. But we are aiming to have a National League, basically, like squad. So if we got promoted, we could then be a competitive team with this level of players, which it should be in the National League next season with a few more to hopefully go towards the next season. So it doesn't mean we're going to be 15 points clear, but it's such hard work watching this group of players. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to make accusations. I don't want to name individuals. I don't want to do anything like that. But something has not been right really from minute one for me. And the last 3 weeks has really come out. It's really come out in front of our own eyes. All the weaknesses, all the problems. What on earth was that game management yesterday as well? I mean, I don't understand. Is Cody Cook injured? Why is he not playing? All these different things. I'm confused. It just felt really rash. But for what the expenditure this club has obviously spent, some players and everyone there really need to be accountable and go, right, am I doing enough? If they can look themselves in the mirror every day and go, right, no, yeah, fair enough, I can. Fine, brilliant, well done. But if some of you are, I really have a think, this club has put an awful lot out there. You need to go and be shown that you're a level above. We haven't signed these players to be a National League South player. Some of these we've signed to be a League Two or National League player in the National League South. And you need to be part of that unit and start performing. I'm just fed up of it. I'm fed up of everything about it. It needs to improve massively. And yesterday it just summed up the last 3 games. Pathetic. We're just being a Torquay. I've watched this team in the division above, Nicholson driving a bloody minibus with a squad of about 13, 14 players, nowhere near the standard of National League. And they put their heart into it. They were not brilliant at football. We stayed up in the division above. We finally got the team that, on paper, it's going to be great. And something's just completely unperforming. I'm not there to, know what part of it, but somewhere, whether it's collective or somewhere, is a complete and utter underperformance this season, and it's not good enough. And then we've got to speak about something else that happened afterwards. I'm going to hand that over to Clive.
Okay. I'll just quickly
I haven't done that in a while.
balance off what I would like to say before I get on to the next bit is that what we do have, in my opinion, is really good accountability from the boardroom.
Yeah.
If you cast your mind back, we had an absentee owner who employed a chief executive who actively tried to discourage either the supporters trust or fans from taking any active role in the club. And so what we've got now in the Brink Consortium, and I know it's been said a lot, but it bears saying again, is we've got people who genuinely have the best interests of this football club at heart. And in particular, Mark Bowes-Kavanagh and Michael Westcott were there before and after the game talking to fans, and they would have a conversation with anybody who came up and spoke to them. I spoke to them both, and obviously they're both really, really hurting. And they're also thinking very carefully about whether what we've got at the moment really is good enough, and if not, whether there are any options to improve matters. And I'm going to say to them, I trust them to make the right decision. And even if they don't make the right decision, it won't be because they haven't got the good of this football club in their hearts and in their heads. So I just want to say that to get it out of the way, really.
100%. I'm sorry, Colin. I'm sorry with that. That's the thing that I get really buzzed about at the moment, is that we've got everything that we dreamed for, and I still believe Torquay United will be a successful team in the next towards the Football League. But right now it is a very difficult position, and I'm very annoyed that we've finally got those owners that's put it on put things out there, and it's just not. It just doesn't feel right. I can't put my finger on it, and even if I did know what it was, would I want to say on a public place? But I'm fed up of what is going on the pitch. I'm just fed up of it. They deserve a lot better. Tom, I feel like you're going to speak. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, look, I mean, we've been very fortunate at Talkie Talk since the ownership, since they've come in as the Brink Consortium. We've established a really good relationship with Michael Westcott, Mark Bowes-Kavanagh, and the rest of the Brink Consortium. And look, on the 2-year anniversary, as we record this, when we went into administration, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got people who care about the football club, also who are fans of the football club. And I know they'll be hurting just as much as we are about the situation and the results that we've had recently and the performances we've had recently. There's no question in my mind, right, that they've got the best interests of this football club at heart. And, it's a tough gig. The amount of money that's had to go into the football club, and, the way the club was mismanaged 2 years ago and before that, I mean, there's obviously a lot of work that needs to go into this football club to make it, one, a really, a great family place to come, and also to expand on it and, make it a football league club in the future. And, they've put their money where their mouth is. And I have full respect for Michael Westcott and Mark Bowes-Kavanagh and the rest of the Brink Consortium. They've put their money where their mouth is. And, the ones who have put the money in are the turnstiles every week who come and watch Torquay play at the 6th tier. I mean, to get 3,000 plus free play more through the gate every week, it's an absolutely phenomenal effort, considering in League One we weren't getting those attendances. So I think it's always important to reflect in those moments. But as I said to the Eastbourne fans earlier on today in the podcast we did, losing at this level, it's hard to take. I know there's a lot of our viewers and listeners who would never have experienced Torquay in the Football League. And, fair enough, we're old codgers, aren't we? So, I've been fortunate to see Torquay play in League One and follow it in League One. And I've got high aspirations for this squad. And I know the Brink Consortium do as well. And ultimately, being in the National League South, it's horrible, but that's where we are. That's what we are at the minute. We're a National League South club playing National League South football. Yes, it doesn't matter if you get 3,500 through the door, 3,000 or 500 through the door. At the end of the day, you've got to get the job done on the pitch. Doesn't matter, in my opinion. You've got to get the job done. And yes, teams do up it against us, and I think a lot of the clubs will openly admit that. Torquay United, big club, big name, big egos to an extent. Fair enough. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy to accept that. So when we do lose at this level, it's horrible for us as fan base. But we've lost 9 games this season. We've lost 9 games. We're going for the title. You can't lose 9 games to go to the title. We haven't performed at all.
We're 6 points off. I know we're top of the league 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I know that we're only 6 points off, so to speak, but it's underperforming. It's a very, very inconsistent league. That's why you can lose 9 games, only be 6 points off the top. And it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. There needs to be
You know,
accountability. And it has to be
last
on the pitch.
season,
I'm sorry to say, I try and edge around it, but it has to be on the pitch. On the pitch. It's not good enough. They've completely underperformed. And I think a lot of people around that need to look themselves in the mirror. And I know there'll be some people that are capable or have played or whatever at a higher level. And I'm not saying they've been bad because they think they're too good. But you have to remind yourself what this football club is. And actually, it's such a privilege to play for this football club. I'm not saying there's people who think they're too good. But if that is even the case, and don't shirk away from the challenge of it either. Almost quite Warnock. Don't shirk a tackle, but like, don't shirk away just because it's gone wrong. I want to see you come out, whoever you are, whether you're a player, staff, anything, over the next few weeks now, come out and go, right, we're going to put this right and we're going to get back that title. And if you're not up for it, goodbye. Find another club.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I'm just thinking about the last 3 games. There's a massive Jordan Dyer shaped hole in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
My God, that yesterday, Jesus, it would. I think I would say it was a different game of football if he was playing. And they've tried to plug the gap. I don't know why Ed Palmer didn't start yesterday. Then, of course, there would have been reasons for that, but it's a big injury, and I think you have to acknowledge that he's a very, very good centre half at our level, and we're missing
underrated.
Can I play devil's advocate a little bit? As much as I agree with that, why are we going to a season with 3 centre backs?
Well, we are where we are, Sam, aren't we?
Yeah, you can't.
Even if you've got that, I'm not blaming. I know, but like you just maybe. I would rather, if there is a high wage for a couple of players, and I'm thinking a couple more in particular, I prefer it to go a young, hungry, third choice centre back who and balance the squad a little bit more. I think, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is this summer, going into last season, a brand new football club, pretty much, with all things considered, we were a couple of goals away from winning the division. This season was all about us kicking on and going for the title. And, as long as Torquay United are National League South, we should be focused on winning this division. Nothing more, nothing less. I know there's some clubs that have got bigger budgets than we have, and I fully accept that. But at the end of the day, with our fan base, our support, I mean, we must have had, I think some Eastbourne friends said they think we had half the crowd there yesterday, which, the lengths that people are going to support this football club, it's immense. And of course, there's pressure that comes to that. And I like to think I'm quite a level-headed guy when it comes to, what I think of the management and how the club direction's going. But I must say, yesterday took a lot out of me. And it was just, I felt really deflated leaving there at full time. I mean, yes, Eastbourne, they've had a shocking season by all things. And maybe getting rid of the manager is the best thing for them because they were able to play with freedom. But bloody hell, lads, even with Jordan Young out of that squad, right? We should have had enough on that pitch to get away from Eastbourne with 3 points. Thank you very much. On the coach we go, and off we go. And it's just, I don't know what it is with some of the players in this team. I think some of the players this season have really underperformed, who are on big wages. And I think some of them need to look at the mirror and think, are you ready? Are you big enough for the pressure of this football club? Because as long as Torquay United, as I've said, are in this division, the pressure's only going to grow. And God help us if we're in this division again next season, because that would be a massive failure, in my opinion. The amount of money that's gone into this squad this summer, especially, and the high wages that we're allegedly paying some players this season, it's only going to bite us next season if it does come to another season at this level.
The thing is that they've really pushed the boat out. We don't have the highest budget in the division, I believe, by quite a long way. But there has been a lot of money put in, and let's call a spade a spade. The Bryn Consortium are funding big losses at the minute at Torquay United, and yes, I feel as though their investment hasn't got the return that it deserves. Frankly, nobody's ever entitled to win a division because they're a big club or because they bought some good players, and I get that. But yeah, we're being let down. Yesterday was a real low point, and everybody felt that. There was a lot of Torquay fans hung around afterwards, and it was pretty universal, the opinion that this isn't good enough. One little funny story I will tell you, though. There was a guy, possibly like me, who'd had, I think, maybe a little bit too much to drink. And after the game, they've got this. It's a large room with a dance floor and a small stage at the front. And what they do after the game is they get their player at a match up, and microphone comes out, and the sponsor presents him with the award, and it's all very lovely. And so their guy gets his award. And about 15 minutes after that, our fan wanders onto the stage, picks up the microphone, and starts chanting that he wants a change in management. It probably wasn't appropriate. It made a lot of people laugh. He was politely asked to stop, and he didn't, and then he was slung out. And that was, I'm glad I was there to see that, because that really made me smile on a fucking bad afternoon, frankly.
Yeah.
Can we just move on quickly to Coachgate? I was pleased to see the club put out a statement today about what happened with the buses yesterday. It's very far from being the biggest problem facing our football club, and with a bit of luck, it's kind of calmed things down a bit, because I can tell you for absolute certain, rightly or wrongly, that we had the Daily Mail, we had the Sun, and we had a journalist from the Athletic sniffing around, trying to get the gossip on what actually was quite a good story, because the story, as it was initially explained, was Torquay United got gumped 4-2 at Eastbourne, and then kicked the travel club off the nice bus that the travel club had come up on, and the players and staff and others went back to Devon on that, leaving the travel club on something that wasn't quite as nice. Now, there's a couple of sides to this story, and I'm not proposing to get into who did what and what have you. I am personally happy to accept what the club have said today. I note that they've apologised for any disruption and confusion caused, and I think they're bang right to do that as well. I think that's fair enough, and hopefully it'll come to an end now. But the optics are terrible, aren't they? You lose 4-2, and just put yourself in the shoes of people who went up with the travel club yesterday. They've set off, as I understand it, at 8 o'clock in the morning from Torquay.
Mm-hmm.
They've had to negotiate a serious crash on the A303. A lorry has flipped over. There's a big delay there. They've had to divert. They've then come along the coast road, and Jesus, from personal experience, having driven that today, you don't want to go along the A27 too many times in your life if you can avoid it.
You certainly don't.
There's been you're
every other week,
boy, aren't you?
Every other week.
Boy. Yeah. So cut a long story short, unfortunately, it was 3:30 before the travel club arrived, somewhat bedraggled and watching a very poor performance. And they have ended up shunted, as we've been advised, shunted by the coach firm off the rather nice bus that they came up in, and they've ended up going home in not such a nice bus. And I have to say that the optics of that aren't great. The Supporters Trust raised the issue with the club this morning, and it was following a certain amount of discussion that the statement was put out, and it wasn't a minute too early, that statement, I have to say. It might be unrealistic, but and in saying this, I appreciate that, you know, our players need to be looked after, and we know that dodgy coach journeys can produce hamstring strains, and we're told all of that. But I just wonder if there isn't a world where there could have been a gesture made, and basically the players went, you know what, this bus we've got, it's not the best in the world, but we'll go home on that, and we'll let those poor buggers who've again put their hard-earned money in, stood in the rain, watched one of the worst performances I can remember from a Torquay team, and we'll let them have the nice bus. It would have been a really good news story as opposed to what we've ended up with. And that's all I'm going to have to say about that.
Yeah, fantastic, Clive. Anything else, Tommy?
Yeah, so look, I mean, I've known Mark, who runs the travel club, for a long time. He's a really good friend of mine. I stand next to him quite often at both home and away games. And look, last year when my grandma was dying, he picked me up early. He actually came to where I was staying at the time. So not only I could go with the travel club, but he also gave the opportunity for my mum to go see her mum before she passed away. And that was the Truro away on Good Friday. And he and everyone on the travel club made me feel really supported. So I've got nothing but good things to say about Mark and the travel club. You know, the only thing about Mark, he's a West Ham fan, so it just goes to show nobody's perfect, and I'm sure he'll smile at that. But I think if we'd won the game, let's be honest, it's a non-issue, isn't it? If we win the game,
it's an inconvenience,
does it?
But
it's inconvenience.
And how?
We've won
And
the
if
game,
it's
we've
dealt
got 3
well with
points
as well, if it's dealt well, there's some sort of gesture in there as well.
From what I've understood, and I don't want to dob anyone in here, but from what I've heard from a reliable source, was there were comments made by some in the squad about the lack of leg room. And obviously, I know that's been addressed by Michael Westcott, but I can only go on what I've heard from other sources. And I just think in that moment that someone should have said, you know what, this isn't the right thing to do. And let's be frank, if we'd have gone on the day to Eastbourne, I understand it. But breakdowns happen, coach breakdowns happen, car breakdowns happen. You know, you get stuck in traffic and you arrive late to a game. It happens. And let's be honest, it's not like the lads have had it difficult. They stayed in, as far as I'm aware, they stayed relatively local overnight on the Friday night. So it's not like they've had to endure it too bad. I mean, yeah, okay, it's frustrating. It's a frustration that it's broken down. As far as I'm aware, the coach broke down twice. And the coach
the coaches were swapped at Reading, weren't they? So
yeah, that's what I've heard.
Actually, it appears that they've had to travel on not the best bus in the world from Reading to Worthing.
Okay. So that's not a hardship. That's not a bloody hardship, though, is it?
Fine, but that happens. Try driving in the pissing rain for several hours, maybe, or
absolutely.
Try being in a situation where you're actually paying to get to the game, and just put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a minute, because that's the sort of good behaviour that wins friends and influences people.
Absolutely. Look, they stayed overnight. I mean, let's be frank, most of these teams at this division, they all have overnights for Torquay, Bath, and maybe Western-super-Mare. That's it. The
majority of teams of the past didn't have that either.
Yeah, the majority of teams at this level will travel on the day to 90% of away games in this division, bar maybe 2 or 3. I mean, I don't know how many we travel to away from home. I assume it's quite a few.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. Like, if money was no object, they should be staying overnight every time. That is the standard in professional football. That should be happening. It isn't possible for that to happen, and unfortunately, we just need to get on with that.
But we are in a privileged position where we.
I don't want to say. The players should be really grateful that they got put up in a hotel on Friday night, because it's the right thing to do. It is quite a long way to Eastbourne.
It is. I agree with that.
Go on, mate. Go on.
I agree with that, absolutely. But again, we are playing at National League South level. We're playing against teams that won't have that luxury, 80, 90% of the time. And I just think it's just a really bad call, in my opinion. I don't know the full in and outs of it. And like I said,
well, the club is saying very clearly that they had nothing to do with it, and it was all the coach company's fault. And the coach company told the travel club what was happening. I imagine that is probably disputed.
Yeah.
And so I'm prepared to accept what has been said in the club statement, which is that at no stage did Torquay say, we're not having the supporters using that bus, we're having it. I am prepared to accept that, but I find it slightly hard to believe that nobody across the two buses ever had any sort of a conversation. And once that, if I'm right about that, and once that connection has been made, then that would be the point. And I'm maybe being a bit idealistic about this, but maybe that would be the point where the squad goes, do you know what? Let's just make a bit of a gesture here. You know, it's a little bit like when Henry II had Thomas à Becket murdered, right? What he did next was to say sorry. He put on a hair shirt and he did penance, right? And actually, it wouldn't have been a bad idea last night if the club had done something similar. It's only a gesture, and like I say, they don't have to do it. And I'm sitting here being wise after the event, but yeah, I don't think it would have been the worst thing they could have done.
No, look, at the end of the day, we're all Torquay United fans first, right? And as much as we have great relationships with the club and the people who run it, and ultimately we've got great people who run this football club now. And I've got no doubt in my mind they've got the best interests at heart of this football club. And sometimes we make the wrong decision. And I think that's one of those moments where the wrong decision was made, in my opinion. And like I said, like I've known Mark for a long time, and I guess to an extent I'm kind of a little bit biased in that. But I'm loyal to. I've been on the travel club a lot of times. I've got great connections with the travel club. They've arrived half an hour late, missed 2 goals. I mean, Eastbourne to Torquay is a bloody long way. I mean, it is. And then to do it again go to Worthing on a Tuesday night, that takes some commitment and costs a lot of money. I know they're not making any money on the travel club. So I feel for them. And I think it's more the case of, surely if they did know that they were swapping coaches, that they would have told the people on the coach, you know what, you need to take all your belongings or move your belongings to the other coach because this is what's going to happen. And I'm under the impression that didn't happen. But I can't confirm that one way or another, and I don't want to make accusations. But in the moment, and I think it just summed up the day, it was just a complete shambles, really, from start to finish. And it's just, I don't know. I love this football club. I love the people that run this football club. But I think someone needed to stand up and say, you know what, we can't do this to the supporters. Yes, okay, you obviously want your players to travel on nice coaches, nice accommodations, but they've had the night. They spent the night in a nice hotel, no doubt. And quite honestly, I think half of them are lucky they weren't walking back from Eastbourne because their performances certainly didn't pass muster.
I agree. I think we've covered that quite well. I was very angry about it last night. I was very angry about everything. And then this morning, okay, it's not been dealt with. I think lessons need to be learned in terms of how things are communicated within certain things, and yeah, there needs to be better communication all around. Lessons need to be learned. I'm sure they will be. I know, and accountability in general, that's my big buzzword of today, needs to be kind of made just to look and say, right, okay, that wasn't ideal, even if it didn't feel like it's actually, external things, got in the way, Rosedale and all stuff like that. But actually, I mean, if you ask Rose, they might say something there. I'm not getting into it. But what I'm saying is we just need to look at communication and actually just remember where we're at. Done a lot of good work here, but we also need to tighten a few things up. Things go wrong, things, we make mistakes, you're saying, Tom, but just tighten things up a little bit. Look at procedures going on there. Sometimes in life, you get these what look like isolated things that go wrong. But actually, it's probably been a build-up of things that's led to that. And I feel like this whole weekend is just that. That's why it's been a disaster. Now,
It has.
forward point, I will say, we've still got a lot of football to play this season. And there's a lot of things, mainly, of course, on the pitch, and a lot of good people in that playing squad that we need to show all this accountability and unity now to really make us. It's all come out. It's not. I'm not going to call it rock bottom at all. But it's not a good place. We've been at rock bottom before, Toy fans. But this, in terms of the season, you could call it rock bottom. Where we are, we got to this point now. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Everyone needs to just buck their ideas up, in my opinion. Even if you've done good work, even if you've got great intentions, we all know this. But we've got a promotion to win, and if you're not ready for that fight, go away. Go away. Go away. If you're not ready to put, whatever you're doing, whether you're a player or if you're anything within the club or anything like that, are you ready for the fight? This club has to get promoted, and you have to, we have to give our best to get the best possible outcome now. If that means sitting down with certain people and certain people being the same way back and being open to sort of build things together, if it means there needs to be best communication within certain elements, if it means there'll be tighter processes, if it means we need better performance on the pitch, which of course is the biggest outcome, if it means people, players and management, whatever, thrashing it out and understanding things and taking a step back and really rethinking things, do it. We've got to be better than this on a lot of forms. We are better than this. Those players are a lot better than what they put out at the weekends. We know this. We know there's some very good lads in there and very good footballers. We are so much better than this as a unit all over the football club. I was embarrassed.
Yesterday took a real hammering on me, and for the first time in a long time, and I said it on my social media actually, but I've lost faith that I think Paul Watton's going to be the man that's going to get us out of this division. And like I said, I think I'm always trying to be as optimistic as possible. But just watching that last night and watching Chippenham, watching, games against Horsham, and then seeing us struggle against the likes of Hemel Hempstead and this, that, and the other, I'm questioning now in my mind whether he's the man that's going to do it. And it's up to Paul now to prove me wrong. As much as I love his passion, I love, we've got a good relationship with Paul naturally, but, I'm willing to say it on social media. I'm willing to say it on Goals I View. I'm starting to question whether he's the man that's going to get the best out of this team to get us up. And you look at a manager like Mark White, they've got injury problems galore, but they still grind out results. I mean, yes, they got a draw yesterday against Maidstone. I know they've had terrible away form, but they've won the majority of their home games. I just don't see Paul Watton being able to get us ruthless enough to get to that title, which 3-4 weeks ago would have been crazy to think about. But again, I think that just speaks to the pressure and the high standards that I, as a Torquay fan, have this season. I don't want it. If we go up for the playoffs, that's fair enough. But personally, for me, we have to be going for the title. Of course, the title's still there and there's a lot of football to go. It is a lottery, as we saw last season. And I just think the players he's brought in, the quality he's brought in, we are not achieving the high standards in the last couple of weeks. And it'd be amazing to think, he won Manager of the Month a couple of weeks ago, but in 3 games, it's really taken a lot out of me. And I don't know what, Clive, or you guys think, whether you're willing to commit to do it on camera, but I personally feel like, in my opinion, if Watton is to stay, if he stays, fair enough. But if he doesn't get us up this season, it's time to look somewhere else.
I mean, yeah, that sort of end of season conversations for another day. But my opinion, I don't agree with management really. It's not about what do you want, do an out now, whatever stuff like that. It just needs to bloody improve. Whoever's in charge needs to improve. At the end of the day, the players are the ones that go out. The players are the ones that are capable, and I would feel let down if I was Paul Watton right now by a number of individuals. However, it buck stops with you when you're a manager. It's just how it goes, and he knows that. I'm not patronising anything like that, but it's the job to motivate and get them playing, and that's the brutal nature of football management. We've had 18 months now. I thought we did an excellent job last season, but something's not gone well this season, and it needs to change very quickly. Before we go into Kelly's corner, Clive, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's in any doubt that the bloke who probably will be taking yesterday hardest is Paul Watton. He bleeds green and white, but he loves Torquay United as well.
I heard he's going to Exeter. That's what the rumour mill's been saying on the Yellow Army page.
Just some of it. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and I think it's too easy to criticise people putting their stuff on social media, because actually, it's part of the world, and
It's all it
everybody's
is,
entitled to
community.
do it. But yeah,
And it'd be great next week when he's
apparently
appointed
Paul
there.
Watton was talking to Exeter City last week. Yeah, dream on. I
We're getting a bit
feel as
stupid by next
though
week, aren't we?
I feel as though that performance yesterday has brought it into very sharp relief, really. And there's a decision there to be taken, really.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult decision, and I'm glad that I'm not in a position where I have to make it. But I think we're now. I think the decision now is not who's going to be the best person to lead us into next season. I think it's what is the best way. How can we give ourselves the best chance of getting promotion this season? And I think that the board need to be considering all the options, and I'm sure they will be doing that.
It's more to a point. It's okay, there can be frustrations or stuff like that. But what are we going to do to change it? This is what if I'm in those situations now, what is the plan? How is everyone get together and change it and turn this around? That's the problem. And why is that going to happen? And to be honest, it'd be the most talky thing ever to go and win at Worthing, by the way. Like, we all know that's what we're recording now. Because we can't do this episode now, we won 4-0 at Worthing. Do I believe that's going to happen?
That makes Saturday even worse, though, Sam.
Yeah,
because
it will.
This team is capable of going to Worthing and winning.
Of course it is. Going to anywhere,
I'm sorry, they should have won at Eastbourne in their fucking sleep. Seriously.
I agree.
That was an absolute disgrace yesterday. And I apologies again for my language. That's a few times I've slipped into it this episode. But you'll have heard a lot worse. You'll have heard a lot worse on that bus last night. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
On the plus side,
which bus? Sorry.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
On the plus side, we've beaten the 9-4 in aggregate. So half.
There we go. That's why we're Happy Clapper FC over here at Talkie Talk. Right. So Kelly's Corner, read out by me. We're going back to the start when I used to try and read and then I couldn't read very well. Kelly's Corner. Thank you for everyone who's got involved. And even if we agree with your opinions or not, we really appreciate it. I know we made a joke. And I'm just going to go for it. We're going to start on Twitter. So we asked Yellow Army, let us know what your feelings on a difficult last 24 hours was for Talking United. I just want to hear anything you've got. Okay, Robert, got to stick together. Only going to be worse if we all turn on the players, board management, etc. We somehow are still second and we're still worth a shout. I do totally agree with that. We've got to change. We've got to stick together. Gary says, change needed. We have over 18 months of evidence that Paul Watton can't figure out how to dominate this league. We're full-time professionals and have some awful results against part-time teams, against teams at the bottom. 6 points adrift of any team at this stage of the season is unacceptable. Also, can I just point out the cup disasters over the last 2 seasons as well. Ian Hayward, you know him, Clive. There's been a lot of chatter about replacement coaches today. It's probably time that the board decides to replace the manager too. The players don't seem to be doing anything for Paul Watson anymore. A fresh approach is required. Sorry, Paul, you're a nice chap, but I think it's time. Matthew says, I think fans are allowed to be pissed off and disappointed and vent straight after a defeat like that. But at the end of the day, we have to carry on and get behind the team. We have a brilliant squad and we're only 6 points off the top. In 2 or 3 weeks' time, we could be top again. It's very true. Paul Mahone. Hello, Paul. Evening. A poor result and display does not justify the panty wetting from the usual online crew. We have another tough game on Tuesday, so no doubt if we lose that, then they'll be in their element again, and they'll probably have their Facebook moans already typed out.
Sorry, Paul.
I don't think anybody's wet in the bed. I think we've just lost 4-2 at Eastbourne.
Yes, if
it's not allowed to express disappointment about that, then I don't know what game I've been watching all these years.
Yeah. Disco Barry, another poor display on the road against the side at the bottom, then on to Worthing, not looking good at present. Lucky a lot of the teams below didn't perform well afterwards. I think March will determine our destiny. Will we still be in the playoffs? This is a huge point I meant to make, actually. Forget the title. What was it? We're only 5 points into the playoffs? That's a big problem. Yeah. And next one, Hercules. We've got 2 points here. Obviously, everyone is disappointed with the last 3 results, but we're still second and in with a chance of a title. We don't have a divine right to win the league. If you told an outsider, of course, a manager to head with a team in their position, they would think you are mental. Fans need to stick together and get behind the team. Right, that's on X. Thank you very, very, very much for all of your opinions. They're all extremely valid. I'm going to keep talking filler whilst I load on to Facebook. Guy, haven't we got any nice plans for this week? Going to Worthing, anyone?
Yeah, I'm here already.
Yeah, I'll be travelling up to Worthing, yeah. And so will a lot of other people.
Yeah, they will.
And let's
Should we
hope
get a good
let's
result?
hope it's an enjoyable experience.
Yes, over to Facebook. Evening, Craig. You cannot lose to sides like Chippenham and Eastbourne near the bottom if you want promotion. Well and truly bottled now. This side would not have the balls for any sort of playoff games, neither would the management. Under this management, this side will not go up. Questions should be asked with PW, and if it's not too uncomfortable upstairs with MW and NBC, unfortunately. Ultimately, due to these attendances will drop next season, and this division and financially will hit them harder as they expect promotion this season. Every post-match interview all he does is divert the blame from himself when he is largely part of the problem, along with shambolic players like Matt J and Matt Wellington, absolute stealing living at this club. Craig never holds back.
And breathe.
And brave. Cheers, Craig. Nick Popkins. 2 questions for you guys to explore. Did Paul Watton discuss the vacant manager's job of X last week? I understand he did. I have read that rumour online. And I also hear the budget's very tight and we have no further room for incoming players.
Good to see you on Saturday, Nick.
Yeah, I hope you're well, Nick.
See you Tuesday.
Ian says, what does success look like for Torquay United? If promotion doesn't happen this season, are we financially and emotionally prepared for that outcome? I'm not emotionally prepared, Ian. I can tell you that for free. That's a very good question. Philip says, it's not been a very good couple of weeks for Torquay. If we want to get out of this league, we need to bite the bullet. The board are not going to change the manager at this stage of the season. But surely we have the man at the club with loads of manager experience who can give the club some advice to steer us over the line. Come on, Army, let's get our club promoted and keep supporting them as we always do. And finally, Ian, I can stomach the Maidenhead game, massively frustrated by Chippenham and Eastbourne games. I'm always going to try and be positive and consider the season as a whole, but I am now truly not convinced by Paul Watson. Having seen opposition teams switch up and play to get more out of the sum of their parts, it feels like Paul Watson is not able to adapt, tweak the shape and games and dictate the game to the opposition and take the game to the opposition. I fear attendance is going to dwindle and the season is going to peter out into another playoff disaster. Do you know what? There's a nice range of everyone's opinions there, and I'm glad we asked that question. Always important to get that. Everyone's there.
Thank you, Yellow Army.
Thank you, Yellow Army.
We're nothing without you. Please like and subscribe. We're nothing without you.
Yeah, please subscribe to show We're Nothing Without You. Please give me 1,000 reasons to show. Right. Is there anything you want to add before I wrap up, lads?
I want to say Sunny Blue Everton, superb performance from you last night. One of the few players that could take any good grace. Like Clive said earlier, he was trying for that corner early in the second half where the wind assisted into the goal. He had one that kind of just went over, and then he had the intelligence to whip it in again and managed to get the better at the keeper. Sonny, I thought you were absolutely superb, mate, and it was nice to see you try, because I think there's a few players on that pitch that could take a lot from you and learn a few lessons from you. So well done. Keep it up for Tuesday. And yeah, let's just turn up to Worthing in numbers. I know it's on DAZN on Tuesday night, but Worthing, they're going to put us behind in the new covered stand next to the home fans, so it should be a good atmosphere. And look, football's a funny sport. It wouldn't be beyond us to absolutely smash Worthing. I'm not confident that we will do, but look, we've just got to just turn up, support the team, whether you're watting in, watting out, and this, that, and the other. We're all Torquay fans. We all want the best for this football club. We offer a platform for everyone to share their views, and we're respectful for every single one of them. So, you know, Tuesday night, get to Worthing, and let's make a good racket. And fingers crossed we can get something from the game. But like I said, I'm not confident we're going to do it, as you'll soon hear in my score prediction.
Yeah, what's your score position, Tommy?
Well, so I'm staying in Worthing for the 2 games, and we're staying in an apartment above this pub, right, in Worthing. And the 2 games now that we've gone to, we've lost 4-2 both times. So if we do lose 4-2 at Worthing, I'm never staying here ever again in my life. Personally, I think we're going to lose 3-1. Worthing picked up a 4-1 win over the weekend. It's their first win this year, I believe. I know it was against Slough, but Slough have had a really good uptick in form recently. So it's just a game. The defeat this weekend has just made it a must win for us on Tuesday night. You know, if we, God forbid, 10 defeats in a season, you're never going to win the title losing 10 games in the season. So unfortunately, chaps, I think Worthing will have too much. I think they'll win it 3-1, but prove me wrong, Torquay.
Cheers, Tommy. Clive, anything to add in your prediction, please?
It's traditional on here, isn't it, that you've got to disagree with each other and give different scores. But actually, I think Tommy's nailed it. I think Worthing has done Worthington. I think Worthing are likely to have too much for us. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. It'd be nice to be under a roof though. That'll be good. I didn't realise that. Although I think the forecast is half decent for Tuesday. So if you're anywhere near, come along, make some noise with us, come and say hello. And you never know, do you?
Looking at you, Mum. Come on, Jane. Come on down. It's only down the road. What's your prediction, Swanee?
Oh, Torquay United are going to win 3-1. Well, common sense tells me your two opinions, but it's Torquay United, aren't they? It's just Torquay. But yeah,
I knew I wasn't mad when I predicted 7-0 with the Torquay chalk for Eastbourne. So at least I got 2 points at the weekend. So I knew it made sense in my mind.
Right. I've run out of things to say and common sense. And I've got to edit this before I have a week's graft like us all.
Swanee, it's 9:30. We're all knackered for one reason or another. And let's knock it on the head and throw up the goals. Come on, United.
Come on, we can do better than this. Up the Yellows. And we'll see you again this week after Worthing.
Woohoo!
See you in a bit.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon.